Hello, everyone. This is David coming at you live earlier than I'm supposed to. I know I got a notification on my phone. Bitcoin under $93,000. ETH went under 2,500. It is down 10% on the day. So, a lot of blood in the market. I figured it's a good day to go live early because some of you are probably wondering what the hell is going on. Are we seeing liquidations? We're seeing volatility absolutely skyrocket. We'll take a look at the VIX. Also, are there any trade setups now? One super simple strategy for trading these big dips. I'm going to share that with you today. And so we're also going to take a look at the liquidations. We'll take a look at some money flows. Where's money flowing into? Where's money flowing out to? And then some charts and fundamentals here as well. So if you're first time here, welcome. Let's jump in. What the hell is going on with crypto? Bitcoin at $92,500. This is BTC on the daily. You can see one super simple indicator is the Bollinger Bands. You can take a look at what price action is doing. Now, this trend line, let me get rid of the Bollinger Band here. This trend line is something that I've had on this chart for a very long time. This is a key support level, 92,488. And so far, this level is holding up very well. Why is this a key level? Well, we essentially had a W pattern here, which is your double bottom, okay? That held twice, and we shared this on the live show today, but this is very important because exactly where we are right now. Let's take a look at the last 3 times Bitcoin came all the way down to $92,400. This is all the way back on November 27th of last year. We saw Bitcoin dip to 91.8. We saw a rally of 18% in a matter of 3 weeks. This one here on December 31st, let's ring in the new year by pumping 12% in a matter of a week. Again, Bitcoin bottomed out right at that 92.4 level. And then more recently, if we exclude today, this was back on Friday, January 10th, Bitcoin came all the way down from its local high of 102.3 down to 92.5, and we saw an 18% rally over a span of 10 days. Will we see something similar now where Bitcoin, again, currently price action is trading at 92,656? We did see a little bit of a bounce. If we zoom out to the 1 hour, you know what? Let's zoom out even shorter time frame. Let's go to the 30-minute on BTC. Okay, let's go to the 30-minute on BTC. You can see these hollowed out candles. What are they telling us? They're telling us massive amounts of liquidation on the 30-minute candles, and more recently, the last 2 prior to the one we're printing green right now. Let's throw on our SNR levels and take a look at where's support and resistance. So we blew right through that 93.34, which we saw confluence on the 30-minute and the 2-hour. The next one, if we break below, and again, this is on the 30 minutes, so these levels aren't as important as higher time frame levels. We're looking at 91,530, which is going to be our 2-hour and our 1-day support level. We go out to the 1 hour and you can see price reacting very well. Now, we do want to see some volume coming in here. And the good news too here is you got to remember everything eventually reverts back to the mean. And for Bitcoin, you're looking at on the 1 hour, we hit oversold. On the 2 hour, we hit oversold. On the 3 hour, we hit oversold. Same on the 4, same on the 6, same on the 8. Not yet on the daily. We're currently sitting at 36.46 on the RSI. And my mom's calling me. Sorry, Mom. Got to call you back later. We got a lot of stuff going on here. And so on the 1 hour, now what I told you about this strategy, right? Super simple strategy. You take a Bollinger Band, get rid of these support and resistance line, throw on your Bollinger Bands, okay? Everything always reverts back to the mean, okay? What do I mean? Bollinger Band has 3 components: an upper band, a lower band, and essentially a moving average, okay? Your moving average, they're all technically moving averages. One's a deviation of 2 to the upside. The other one's a deviation of 2 to the downside. Anytime you see, and this is on a large time frame, this is on the daily, anytime you see price step outside of the lower band to the downside and outside of the upper band to the upside, everything always reverts back to the mean. This right here, this was on January 13th. Price came underneath the Bollinger Band. We got a wick down at 89K, and price came right back in and closed right above our EMA on the Bollinger Band. Take a look here. This was back on February 3rd. Price came all the way down. We had a deviation of, and let me just measure this move here. The deviation was around 7% on the wick outside of the Bollinger Band, and price came right back in. Now, price did not go up like the scenario here, but it came back and literally tapped the moving average line on the Bollinger Band, and we closed right below it. Now, we did trend down. Even the smaller moves that we went outside the Bollinger Bands, you can see, right? Reversion to the mean. Entering at 96.5. Exit at, I mean, the local high here. Exit, even if you entered on this, right, you got 96.5. The very next candle, we got pushed up to 98.798. Now, why am I sharing this? Look at where we are now, right? You could just take a look on the price axis on the right. You have Bitcoin's price currently at 92,337. And our lower Bollinger Band is 94,102. So there's about $1,000 discrepancy there that should close. Now, this is not to say that price can't continue to move to the downside, that we can't continue to get maybe hit the next level of support. But even if you zoom out to the 4-hour, right, the gap is even larger on the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, you have your lower band at 93.6, and you have your Bitcoin price currently trading at 92,336. Again, this is an opportunity for a mean reversion trade, which, to be fair, I did put one in right before I came live. And where the hell did that trade go? I did a copy trade. I had to do it with my phone. So I did it on my personal, and I did it on the Sin City copy trade account. So 92,414 was our entry point. And this is a very, very simple trade. I am looking to get out right around 93.6. 93.6 to 94K, that is where I'm looking to head out to exit that trade and take some profits. We've taken a beating trading. I mean, I had this beautiful setup on Algorand, which if the markets cool off, I'll probably run that down with you guys. We have this beautiful trade setup on Algorand, and it's just the market conditions absolutely wrecked that trade, and 92.2 is where Bitcoin is currently pricing at. So you might even get a better entry point here. Now, you do want to take a look at the liquidations on the 1-hour, and let me refresh this page to make sure we get the most up-to-date. $142 million has been liquidated out of the cryptocurrency space, and shocker, 95% of that has been from longs. Oh, the 4-hour, you're looking at $445 million. Now, this is nowhere close to our largest liquidation day ever, which was close to $2 billion on 24-hour. But if you extrapolate this 1-hour at 145, if the pace continues, which I'm not saying it will, we could potentially see another record-breaking liquidation day for BTC. Let's take a look at where money is flowing out of. Currently on the 1-hour, Solana, Trump, XRP, and ETH are seeing the largest outflows with, I mean, you can see here, guys, $20 million in the last 1 hour from Solana has not flowed into other projects. Hasn't flowed into Bitcoin, hasn't flowed into Ethereum. It's flowed into fiat and stables. What does that mean? It means people are selling and they're keeping it in stable coins, or they're taking profit, or they're taking L's. You take a look at XRP, same thing. US dollar, USDT, USDC, and the Korean won. That is around also $20 million. ETH has seen $22.4 million flowing out over the last 1 hour. Now, ETH has seen some flows go into BTC, and that number is 1.8 million. So around, what is that? 2% of 20, that would put us right at 10% of ETH outflows have moved into Bitcoin. The rest of the 90%, as you can see here on this flow chart, has moved in to stable coins or fiat dollars. The market is scared. What is going on? I wanted to take a look at the VIX. This is measures the volatility, and we had a spike in the VIX again today in the markets. Typically, when you see VIX spike, risk assets trend down. We take a look at, speaking of risk assets, the Dow Jones closed down today. The NASDAQ also closed down. The NASDAQ saw a day loss of 1.18%. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but we're talking about multiple trillions of dollars worth of assets in that one fund. And then on the S&P 500, we saw a 0.5% day to the downside. Now, altcoins are getting absolutely wrecked. You go to the 1 hour, the biggest losers, Trump is down 6% on the 1 hour. Story Protocol down 5%. Helium, BitTensor. I mean, nothing is free of the wrath of crypto liquidations. We take a look at the 24-hour. Radium getting absolutely annihilated. Now, the Radium move did come off of some negative news in the fact that Pump.Fund said they're going to, and here's a perfect example, right? And I'll get back to my point. Here's a perfect example on the 4-hour, right? We came below the Bollinger Band. This is on the 4-hour time frame. We got all the way down to $2.80, and this would have been a beautiful swing trade. I mean, if you time the top, you're looking at $3.25. That was a decent move. And again, super simple, right? This is the first thing I look at when the markets are taking a dump, is what are the Bollinger Bands and what's the deviation look like outside of the bands? If it's outside of the bands by more than I would say 3 to 4%, then it's potentially worth a stab at a long trade. Now, of course, there's times where you try to catch this falling knife and it'll keep going down. And you got to be prepared for those losses. I've gotten liquidated a few times doing that. Rob has. I'm sure everyone has. But also, when it does turn and it goes your way, you can make a lot of money. And Bitcoin is officially under $92,000. But what I was trying to say with Radium earlier, the Solana ecosystem as a whole has just taken a complete beating. We'll take a look at the Solana chart here in a second. But with Radium specifically being the market makers, essentially, right, the DEX, Pump.Fund came out and said, look, we're creating our own market makers. We're going to be our own market makers. Essentially, anyone launching a coin can also make their own markets. So that spooked the markets as far as Radium thinking, hey, is this not going to have any use case, any utility? And so I think Radium has spilled off more than what the rest has. As you see, the next closest outside of Radium on the 24 hours is going to be Trump at 20, and Radium is down 30%. Now, you might be asking, well, David, is this a good opportunity to enter Radium? I would say no, for a few reasons. One is an ugly ass chart, right? We've broken key support levels on the 4-hour. This $4 level was extremely important, and I'll get rid of these Bollinger Bands. And I won't spend too much time on Radium because obviously there's larger altcoins that are taking an absolute beating. But you just let me zoom out and take a look at an important level price has reacted to. It's going to be that $4, call it $3.98. We'll call it $4. We had a retest twice, failed, came back, and we tested this as support going all the way back to November 12th of last year. Radium did not one time close below this $4 level, and we're sitting at $2.93. So it's lost the structure, the bullish structure of the chart. This is not looking good. And to mention, the narrative around Solana right now is not very good. On top of everything, Radium is personally facing as far as essentially a threat to their utility, a threat to their use case. What people were bullish about them for, that might be changing. And Solana has taken an absolute dump. And I'm not picking on Solana here, but to be fair, everything is taking a dump. But Solana, it got all the way down to what, $136. Let's take a look at what the double Bs are. So we're looking at, you got a $7 gap between your lower Bollinger Band and where current price of Solana is. So Solana's current price is 141.93, and the lower Bollinger Band, we're sitting at 148.54. Again, this is enough to potentially enter into a mean reversion trade. You take a look, every single time frame, which we already knew that is going to be negative for Solana. Let's take a look at where we are with our moving averages. Now, obviously on the lower time frames, we're going to be trading well below. And yeah, I mean, we attempted, so this is the 200-day moving average bands. Okay, this is very, very important. It takes the low, the high, and the close. Okay, the low, the high, and the close, and it gives you 3 lines here. You can see the importance of these levels as support and resistance. We lost these levels back on the 18th, so last Tuesday, and we've since been spilling off. If we go to the larger time frames on the weekly for Solana, let's take a look at where this MA ribbon is coming in. So we're not getting any data here on the MA ribbon. Let's take a look. Why is this not pulling up on Solana? Maybe I need to go, you know what? Let's go Solana. Let's go Solana here. Bam. Let's take a look at market cap. So as far as market cap wise, right, 69.66 billion on the weekly, we are still trading above it. But again, Solana is just not looking very good. But to be fair, that's the rest of the markets. All right. I'm going to take a quick Quick intermission. I'm going to take a look at the chat. I'm going to welcome a few people. If you have any questions about the markets, you're uncertain, a coin you want to take a look at, really anything, feel free to throw it in the chat, and I will randomly be going up here and checking to see the community. All right. Ben Simmons, thoughts on Filecoin? I'll get to that. 86K incoming, said Ground Squirrel. Let's take a look at BTC. I'm going to start with let's start with a higher time frame, right? Let's start with Bitcoin. Let's get rid of all these drawings. Take a look at BTC. This is BTC on the monthly. Okay. So, I mean, this is, I'm sorry, I'm not showing my chart. This is Bitcoin on the 12 month. Now you look at this and you say, okay, this candle here is a potential shooting star candle, right? Which typically signifies a macro trend reversal. You zoom out to the 6 months, right? The level you be watching here, and we're not even gonna talk about it because it's too low. It's too low. It's 48K. But the next one on the super, super high time frame, just very simple, is going to be your 60,856. Now that is long-term, extremely, extremely strong support level. We zoom out to the monthly, you kind of see the same thing. You can throw another support and resistance line right here at 71,887. But the level I'm very curious about, and let's not skip the weekly. Let's get rid of our MA ribbon. Let's not skip the weekly. Now the weekly, right? The weekly, we're here. We are literally here on the weekly. So if we lose the weekly support, at least on the weekly time frame, you're looking at 71.7. Now, I don't think it's going to go straight to 71.7. Not at all. But something Magic talked about on the show, that 86 to 89K, and I might be off by 1,000 or two, that, in my opinion, is a real possibility. I mean, and that matches up, well, a little bit lower on the MA ribbon here. You're looking at the higher end is 83,199. Can I see it get down there? Sure. Do I think it's going to happen in one candle? Absolutely not. That would be a huge move, going from $96,000 to $83,000. We're talking about multiple billions of dollars of liquidations for Bitcoin, and alts getting just absolutely hammered. So right off the bat, 83K. If we lose this, we do have some support coming in. Let's throw on our SNR levels here. Let's take a look on the daily. So you have a few things going for you. So you have some confluence on the 2 hour and the 1 day. You got one level at 91,530, which we're at now, right? Price has reacted positively so far. We'll see how it reacts on this candle. And your next one is going to be 89,164. Now, remember, we did get a wick all the way down in 89,164 on Monday, January 13th. And again, Bitcoin rallied all the way from 89 to literally make a new all-time high at $109,000. Now, again, a little different. I think the sentiment was a little different in crypto. It was more positive. People seem to think the bull market is over, which I am not. Excuse me. I am not one of those people. I do not think the bull market is over. When you look at fundamental side, there's really nothing saying the bull market is over. If you only look at sentiment, sure, you can say bull market is over. But let's not forget the amount of money that has flowed into Bitcoin via institutions, the amount of money that's going to flow into Bitcoin via nation states, governments, and institutions. I just think we're in this weird part of the market where everyone is expecting something to happen, right? Take a look at the last 2-3 cycles, having 6 months of consolidation and then a parabolic move. That's really happened the last 3 cycles. This is the first cycle that we haven't really seen that. When I say parabolic move, I'm talking a 10, 12, 15x. Now, you got to understand the law of diminishing returns. Of course, as Bitcoin grows in market cap value, 2 trillion, 5 trillion, 10 trillion, those moves are going to be less big, right? Not going to have a big of an impact, at least dollar and nominal value wise. But still, people were expecting it. People were not expecting 9 months of consolidation and then a move from 60 to 100K. They were expecting that a lot sooner. People were not expecting to get to 109,000 and then see a 35-day long, essentially, downside price action, right? Once we hit our 109 on January 20th, we've seen a 16% just grind down with small moves back to the upside. But eventually, all those moves fail. There's really not a lot of volume coming in. You essentially have the RSI trending down, making lower highs and lower lows, which is not good. And this is on the large time frame. So if you look at sentiment alone, we're in a bear market. Everyone is bearish. This is not how Bitcoin, but I would challenge you to expand your vision and try to understand how this market has been different from previous markets. This market with Wall Street here, what we got, one, is we got a little more stability, right? You didn't see those 30, 40% price swings, but we also saw capped moves to the upside. You don't see those 80, 90% moves in 3-4 days. You saw 15% moves, 12% moves, 10% moves, right? Wall Street does is they consistently are looking at their portfolios. If their Bitcoin allocation gets past 5%, then they have to sell to bring it back down to 5%. But on vice versa, on the flip side, if their position size gets under 5%, they go in and buy to bring it back up to 5%. So you have a little less volatility in the price swings, but you don't have those parabolic moves to the upside, which is part of the reason why I think people are freaking out and panicking and saying that this is not a bull market. All you got to do is zoom out and you look at every single indicator. You look at moving averages. If you're a fan of that, you take a look at the pi cycle top indicator. You look at minor outflows. You look at capitulation. You look at people who are in profit, right? Your NUPL, your net unrealized profit and loss. Everything points to still green, right? Trend on the cloud is green. You're trading above, well above your MA ribbon. This is very good. Take a look at when Bitcoin's bottom hit. We got right to where underneath our MA ribbon, which was at 15.5K. We are so far away from that. And again, we have some very key levels. Now, the one level I will say, if we break below 72,000, let's call it 71,887, if we break below that level and we spend any significant amount of time, and when I say significant amount of time, I mean longer, I would say longer than like 5-6 days, then maybe I'll come back and say, look, I think the bull market's over. The top was 109. I just don't see that happening. But again, it's important to kind of keep your eye on the markets, what's going on, and that way you can make that determination as new information comes. So I hope that kind of answered your question or give some thoughts on that. Greg Noack said we got smashed today trading on false move Monday. I think there's a lot of things happening. One, obviously, you can point to market manipulation. Sure, it happens. It happens at Wall Street. It happens in crypto. Now that Wall Street's here, what you're seeing is a lot of arbitraging and hedging, right? They short the spot and they long the futures or vice versa. And you see funding rates start to go down, start to turn negative, essentially meaning that the exchanges are paying you to open long positions, right? And so you're going to get manipulation in every single market, right? Could some of this be manipulation? Sure, I can definitely see that. But you guys got to remember too, Bitcoin is a maturing asset. We're talking about exchanges, we're not exchanges, but ETFs, institutions, and nation states coming in to potentially buy Bitcoin. You're talking about legislation that is in the pipeline with stable coins, with digital assets. So from a regulatory and market growth standpoint, as far as adoption, Bitcoin is in the largest bull market it has ever been. Now, the price action hasn't really followed, which if you try to wrap your mind around it and try to make it make sense, you're going to drive yourself absolutely freaking crazy, right? They say the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay rational, or however that saying goes. So I also think on the macro side, there is a lot of uncertainty, right? You have a new administration. Yes, he served as president before, but he's coming in hot. They're laying off federal employees. They're finding all this fraud. You got the news coming out of Japan. And let's take a look at I'm actually interested in taking a look at the yen versus the dollar, JPY USD. I actually have that plotted on here. So the yen is currently losing against the dollar. You take a look at the DXY, right? Your Dixie. Dixie had a green day today, but it is still in an overall downtrend. So anytime the dollar gets stronger, now the one worry with the Japanese yen is people are afraid of what happened back in July of last year or August of last year, where CPI came in hot, or the Bank of Japan decided to hike interest rates. It sent the Japanese yen higher against the dollar, and all those people that borrowed against the yen when it was at negative interest rates, right? The Bank of Japan has had negative interest rates for like 2 decades. Now those people got wrecked, and it kind of trickled into the Japanese markets, and the Nikkei, it absolutely tanked. And just to kind of take a look, I wonder if I can pull that up here. The Nikkei, yes. Let's go back. Let me show you what I'm kind of talking about right here. August of last year, guys, the Nikkei went from 34.8 to $30,000. You take a look at that was in one day. In one day, over a 3-day period, it dropped 20% in 3 days for Japan's markets, and that trickled into the rest of the markets. That was the fear. Now, eventually, the Bank of Japan reversed course, and they decided to say, okay, you know what, fine, we're not going to hike rates. But a lot of people are worried with this new CPI print. Is the Bank of Japan going to go in and hike rates again? And are we going to see August 2024 like trickle down effects into the markets, potentially on top of everything going on with Trump and the whole tariff situation? So I think it's a multi-pronged approach. One, price action has been weak for BTC. Two, retail traders are just not here. And the people that have been buying Bitcoin and pushing the price up have been the ETF buyers, which is largely Wall Street. They're kind of freaked out and they're selling their position. I am actually going to take a look. What did we see in outflows for the Bitcoin ETF today? So this was today. So far, we've had 76 million in outflows, but we haven't gotten numbers in from BlackRock, from Fidelity, from ARK, from Invesco, or for Franklin Templeton. So far, we've seen Bitwise 10.3 million float out. We saw Grayscale 60 million flow out. And then finally, Grayscale's mini Bitcoin product, 6.2 million float out. So we're currently sitting at $76 million worth of outflows. I would expect almost everything across the board to be red on the Bitcoin ETF flows. So you have a part of that. And again, the important thing here, retail is just too damn broke to spend any money on crypto. And so I think it's a multitude of these factors that are going on. But if Bitcoin can sustain above that psychological 90K level, I think a reversal back up to 94 to 97K is very, very likely. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if that's exactly going to happen. But if I was a betting man, I would bet that that is exactly what we're going to see. And you take a look at a project like XRP at $2.29. Let's take a look at what that chart's looking like. I did see a chart from Marty Party on X talking about, hey, market manipulation going on here, right? With the whole market makers and the exchanges like Binance. Let's get rid of our MA ribbon. On the 4-hour, we are trading below, which is obviously not a good sign. We take a look here. Now, we are coming into, okay, so we are officially in our discount zone. This is on the price action concepts. Now, one thing that I want to note, this large order block where we saw around 1.35 million XRP traded, and you're talking about a 4-to-1 buyer versus seller, right? This order block between $2.41 and $2.47. The last time price came down here, we consolidated for a few, I would say about a day and a half, and XRP rallied 15%. More recently, back on February 18th, which was last Tuesday, XRP's price wicked down, which also happened to be the previous week low, and rallied around 12%. Not good news that we completely fell through. We did come back to try to retest on the 4-hour right at this order block, but ultimately got rejected, saw a large liquidation candle, and are currently trading on the discount zone on the price action concepts. Now, I expect a gap to have been created here. This is, again, XRP on the daily. We blew through the previous week low, and now on the daily time frame, another order block where around 13.5 million XRP was traded, with buyers outpacing sellers, as you can see here. So far, price has reacted positively at $2.24. So can we get a pushback up to our previous week low, which would put us right around $2.46? If we throw on our Bollinger Bands, we take a look. XRP didn't really deviate outside of its Bollinger Band, as you can see here, right? It wicked all the way down there, but it never came outside. If we go to the 4-hour, we do see a little bit of divergence here. So you have the XRP price at $2.29, and our lower Bollinger Band is $2.37. So you can enter here. Now, again, with caution, right, to try to catch a falling knife. This thing could keep pushing to the downside, and you can get liquidated. But you're talking about a 8-cent gap, right? Essentially a reversion to the mean. You see, the last time XRP did this on the 4-hour was back last Tuesday, where we saw a price deviate away from the lower Bollinger Band and price rallied around 11%. Even further back, this is back on the 12th of January. This is on the 4-hour, 12th of February. Price rallied initially 7%, but went on a rally much higher to around that $2.82 level. And again, this is essentially on a lower time frame, a max pain scenario. As you see, everything is flashing bearish, including your MACD, including your RSI. And I can bet you that funding or that open interest, you can see here as we switch from a bright green to a dark green, we are losing steam on OI and money flow on the 4-hour for XRP. We got to the longer time frame. I mean, look at this, right? On the daily, we've just seen massive amounts of negative money flow and open interest waning as price sentiment has crossed below our midline as well. We take a look at our MACD. What is that looking like here? We did get a bearish crossover on the MACD. As you can see here, the signal line crossed above our MACD line, which is not very good. But again, this is short-term price action. We know with crypto how things can change extremely quickly. Now, we do see some confluence on the support here at the 2-hour and the daily, which is $2.26, which are currently trading above. And price has reacted favorably historically. You take a look back on January 8th. We did close here, opened, and then we saw a massive rally from XRP from low to high of 48%. And more recently, this was back on the 7th of February, we saw price rally 23% from when we dipped down here. So interesting to see what prices will look like here. Bitcoin is at 92,378. I personally didn't see any big piece of news as far as something happening in crypto. You know what? Let's just do Bitcoin news now. Bitcoin could definitely surpass gold's market cap. Okay. Bitcoin Ether plunge after 1.5. That was like 3 days ago. Now, here's the other thing. Could this potentially be, let's take a look at Twitter also, or X. Could this potentially be maybe Bybit selling more of their Bitcoin? We shared a chart earlier for the live show this morning that Bybit did sell around 20,000 Bitcoin. We can assume that they're trying to make up that gap of the ETH that they got hacked on. So could we be seeing more of that selling? Potentially. And of course, we know with liquidations, it causes a cascading effect. If one key level, let's say that 93.5 or that 94K level gets liquidated, it causes a cascading effect down to that next level. And if that gets taken out, so on and so forth. But I'm just kind of scrolling through Twitter. Has anything happened? Or if you guys know of anything that has transpired over the last, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes that could potentially push the price down, maybe let me know in the comment section. I'm just kind of peeking here. Jasmine's getting hammered. John, to be fair, literally everything is getting hammered. Stan said 85K Bitcoin is a doorbuster deal. If you got 85K, if you get an 85K Bitcoin, unless you're not in it for the long term, it is a absolute no-brainer pickup. Because remember, fundamentally, nothing has changed. It's just price action and traders. Crypto Naughty said, this is how the guy looks up news. Well, to be fair, it is kind of on the spot. I'm just trying to get an overview of, hey, is anything going on? So if you got more insight on anything you know, let me know. But obviously, this is not the typical research you do prior to sharing news. And then just kind of take a look. Everyone's just getting crushed. So you see here, $800 million of longs. Oh, God. Yeah. All right. One thing I want to look at here too is so I'm on cryptorank.io and we're taking a look at volatility, right? So I got a filter here of only, what's my filter here? 250 million market cap plus on volatility, and Fartcoin, 16.3%. As far as the ones we know and the people are familiar with, it is the number one in terms of volatility. And you take a look at Fartcoin. You know, I took a couple of L's on Fartcoin trades. There were some key levels on Fartcoin that we wanted to see held, and they've just completely given out. Well, the good news is max pain would be 15.4 cents on Fartcoin, And looks like we're kind of headed that way. This is on the daily. So you have larger time frame support and resistance levels, and you got your daily at 14.6. If we go to the weekly here, weekly, the level we're at now, and again, if we lose that level, this level of 27.71, you can see here, we did wick down here. This was back on the week of the 9th. That was the beginning of our large rally from 31 cents all the way up to $2.70 for Fartcoin. Now, this is a pretty ugly chart. I mean, you've literally given back everything you took on the move to the upside, to the downside. Now, I am interested in potentially on at least a trade setup, seeing how price reacts here, but maybe entering into a long here at that 14.29 cent level on Fartcoin. But I mean, again, this is in a super micro niche of altcoins, which is going to be your AI infrastructure plays. And so this one, lots of volatility. Expect big moves to the upside and big moves to the downside, as you're obviously seeing here. And then going back here, what are some of the other ones that kind of stand out? Phantom, aka Sonic, you're looking at 10% on the volatility index. Thorchain, 13%. AI16Z, which is rebranding to Eliza OS, 13.5%. And then we just go by market cap. You could take a look. BTC's volatility is fairly low relative to what we're seeing from the rest of the altcoins. Again, 1.74% for Bitcoin, each seeing volatility of around 3.1%. XRP out of the top 10. Looks like looks like Doge. Cardano is actually the highest. Take a look at Cardano. I think the last time we got down to 68 cents on ADA was a great buying opportunity. So let's take a look. So let's start zoomed out. Okay. Start on the 6 month. 6 month on ADA. The first level I see here is right here. 60, that's 59.3 cents. Okay. 59.3 cents has been resistance and eventually is becoming, looks like right now, support. And so that's pretty good on the 6 month time frame for ADA. We zoom out to the monthly time frame for ADA. Another level you can plop on here is going to be your 41.4 cent level. Okay. Going all the way back to April of 2018, this is an area where we bumped up against resistance twice on the monthly, right? The month of January of 21, right before ADA hit its all-time high of over $3, we failed to break out on a wick, and then we just blew right through these two levels on the very next month's candles, and then on the way down, we fell right through, but attempted a retest and reclaim, failed, and eventually we turned this thing back into support. As you can see here, although we briefly dipped below it, that 41.4 cent level. And now this is the zone. This would be my buying zone for ADA. This right here would be my buying zone for ADA. So potentially, from where prices are, say another maybe 15% move down for the price of ADA. We did get down here on a wick. This was back, and we'll zoom more into the daily. We did enter into a wick into the zone here back on the 3rd of February, and price rebounded and actually created a doji, right? Along some call it a dragonfly doji here. So this should have been a reversal. It ended up turning into a green candle, actually, right? Price opened at 80 cents, wicked all the way down to 50 cents, and then closed green. So this would have been like an ideal reversal candle, but it still continued to trend to the downside. So this is the area that I'm looking at for entering into a long position in Cardano between 41 and 59.3 cents. Now, I know that's a pretty big range for ADA, but that's something to keep an eye on. If we throw on our price action concepts on the daily, so going all the way back to November of last year, on the way up from that 30 cent level to that $1.50, we've created a few gaps. We've created a gap between 46.18 and 48.56, an even larger gap between 49.7 and 55.2 cents. and then that gap here that sits right above our first support line, which is at 59.3 cents. And so I expect these gaps, if the price action continues to go down, to get filled. At the very least, we've attempted to fill this one. Now, will we get all the way down to that 59.3 cents? I will be putting in a buy order here at 59.3 cents, and I'll be ready to put in another buy order if this trend continues to the downside at 41.4 cents. But ADA has taken an absolute beating. It has. All right. Go back to the chat here. Also, if you're new, say hello. 3 states have rejected the Bitcoin reserve. I don't think, Julian, you're right. I just don't think that this is, unless you sit there and you think that this was priced in, a potential approval was priced into Bitcoin, and now that it's gotten denied, essentially, that markets are adjusting. I don't think it was priced in. I could be wrong, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. I just think this is liquidations and just the overall macro and stock markets kind of being scared. Eddie said hello from North Las Vegas. What's up, Eddie? How you doing, brother? Does this mean I'm not getting my Lambo this year? Probably, Rob. Probably. Have we looked at condensed patterns? No. When the best crypto in the market data hasn't been near its all-time high, we haven't had a bull run. You know, this has been a very weird bull market for altcoins, but I stand by what I've said is you're going to get a lot of altcoins that don't make new all-time highs. And some of you might not like hearing this, but I am sorry. Do I think SHIB makes a new all-time high? I don't. Do I think Polkadot makes a new all-time high? I don't. Do I think Bitcoin Cash gets a new all-time high? I don't. I can go down the list. ETH Classic, nope. Polygon, again, I am torn on Polygon. I am very torn on Polygon. Let's take a look at the quarterly on Polygon. You know what? Actually, we need to look at Matic because there's not enough data for Polygon because they had their rebrand, right? There we go. Let's look at Matic. I mean, does that look like a chart to you that gives you any sort of confidence? This is a quarterly chart for Matic. We've literally lost like 3-4 years support. I mean, like what do you say to this? 35 cents. That was a very important level. Going back to when this run started in April of 2021. Going back to the bear market of 2022, price did not close below this level. Now, to be fair, we still have a month and 7 days, so we can very well reverse and not close below. But the trend is obvious. The trend is down. And this is on the 3-month. I mean, go to the daily. I mean, I don't even want to plot this thing against Bitcoin, but just lower highs and lower lows on large time frames. So Polygon's another one. You need to be prepared. And this is coming from someone who holds Polygon himself. We need to be prepared that we ain't going back to $3. Would I like to happily be wrong? Yes. Do I think I'll be wrong? No. I think we're not going to see another all-time high for Polygon unless something fundamentally changes. Maybe new partnership, a new use case. They onboard some sort of big enterprise or institution or government. Then that can change. But as of now, I don't know. I don't think a Polygon gets a new all-time high. And again, I'll be more than happy to be wrong. But everything is kind of telling me that we're not going to, okay? But also, though, on the flip side, you're going to get a lot of projects that have taken an absolute beating that haven't had the run-up. Think something like Algorand, okay? I think Algorand makes a new all-time high. Where did Algorand slip to? Algorand is at number 46, okay? Now, I mentioned that trade setup I had on Algorand that just got completely annihilated by what the overall market did and what Bitcoin did. But Algorand had just this beautiful setup on a high time frame, okay? You look at I think I was looking at the quarterly. I was looking at the quarterly chart for Algorand. Was it the quarterly or was it the 6 month? I think it was the quarterly, or was it the 12 month? No, it was the half year for Algorand, okay? You take a look at how prices reacted here, right? This 25.2 cent level was extremely important, and we had flipped this to resistance. And when I put the long orders in, we were trading right at that 25.2 cent level. Now, again, this is a 6 month chart. We go out to the monthly chart. This thing could very well close above, and you can see here, just historically, resistance, resistance, break above, and this should be support. You can see something very similar here, okay? They're going all the way back to October of 19. We close below, we close above, and then get rejected, we reclaim, we break below, right? 2 rejections, and then this right here was your perfect retest. And then Algorand absolutely ran. That retest happened back in 2020 in November. Just a perfect retest, and we saw Algo run 900% as my computer freezes. That was actually a bigger move than 900%. 1,300% move for Algorand. Now, this is a project that fits into my utility project, right? You're going to see a lot of vaporware, a lot of projects that have been promising, we're going to do this, and when institutions are ready, well, the institutions are here, they're ready. So what are you doing? Is your project doing anything? So I look at the list, and I'm like, Algorand, it's got an ecosystem, it's got partnerships, it's got a great blockchain, it's at a key level, 25 cents. This is an excellent, not financial advice, but this is an excellent place to pick up Algorand and just set it into your cycle to cycle or into your long-term bucket hold. Polygon, I can't say the same thing. You look at other projects like Hedera. Where's Hedera? Super bullish on HBAR. They just had their NASDAQ is trying to list them on their exchange for the ETF. Let's just look at a Hedera chart. This is on the monthly for Hedera. And again, you take a look and just super simple, right? 17.596, which is exactly where we saw price get rejected on the current monthly candle. We saw price try to reclaim that level. This was back in April of last year, get rejected. And then this was support for essentially 3 straight months, going all the way back to May of 2021. And even on the way down in the bear market, we attempted to hold this level, but failed. And so Hedera is another project that is extremely undervalued when you look at what the token price is relative to what they do and the adoption they have, especially with the ETF coming into play. But 17.596 cents, and you can see here, even when you zoom out price action on the daily, this is an excellent level to either enter into a long and make money there. As you can kind of see a reversal. You see the candle has officially turned green on the daily for, oh, it's because we got a brand new candle. Okay. So the day close, it's 4 p.m. I got it on Pacific time here. So the candles here reset at 4 p.m. local time. And so could we be seeing a reversal already in Hedera potentially, or could we see another spill off down to 17.59 cents? If you want to keep it simple and trading or adding to your spot bag, just put in limit orders. Put in a limit order at 17.6 cents. Just go up a fraction of a penny. 17.6 cents. We should see price. I mean, look at what happened the last time price came down here. This was that nasty Monday the 3rd wick, where eventually we came all the way down to that 17.6 level and we closed at 27 cents. So this was a massive 10%. This was actually the swing on this candle here was 55%. 55% swing to the upside. And you even go back more zoomed out look here. This level was a this was your slingshot level, right? When we finally reclaimed that 17 cents, we saw HBAR slingshot 144%. And so limit order for spot, 17.6 cents. Limit order on a long trade, 17.6 cents. So on the long trade one, you do want to have some stop losses in place. You also want to have some take profit targets in place as well. And you want to kind of take a look at overall what is the market doing? Is there any bad news coming out? And what are the funding rates and some of the other metrics that are important to take a look at? So that's the thing. You have to be able to adjust on the fly with the markets. Is this project worth holding on to? Do I think it's going to have utility and essentially a selling point going into this market as the market matures? Or is this project more of, well, we're going to do this and we're positioning to do this? You got to be doing it now. Nate Time said, you're all sounding far too positive. You know what, Nate? If you're only, let's just say you're only a trader, okay? You're only a trader. You only look at like charts and 4 hour, 1 hour. Sure. Yeah. It's pretty negative. Price action is negative. It is what it is. But when you've been in this space for such a long time, like I have, like some of the people in this channel, I know Redman's been in crypto for a while. You start to put less weight on short-term price action and more weight on certain things like fundamentals, utility, adoption, so on and so forth. Oh, Nate said, we need to start sounding bearish for the market to flip. Fair enough, Nate. And so once you look at it from that lens, everything to you becomes an opportunity to short, an opportunity to long, an opportunity to buy, an opportunity to enter into a new position, a new project that you potentially have had your eye on, that you just haven't felt like you got the right price point for entry. So these are all opportunities. And so in times like this, unless you're going to take advantage of it and either enter longs at the bottom or enter shorts at the top, you just look at them as opportunities, like what's undervalued, what's overvalued. If you bought Hedera at 30 cents and nothing has changed, the team is still doing what they're doing, the partnerships are still in place, the governing council is still there, you got bullish news on the ETF, and the price is now at 18 cents, it's like going to the dealership and finding a 2024 Lamborghini Huracan in bright green with a VIN number of I don't know what, and they quoted you at $250,000. You go back the next week, that same exact Lamborghini with the same amount of miles that's sitting in the storage is now, they're trying to sell it to you for $100,000. Would you look at that and say, oh, it's a scam, it's going away? Or would you look at that as, oh shit, I better buy this now? Because that thing, I don't know what's going on in the markets, and Lamborghinis aren't selling right now, but when they start selling again, because we know the Lamborghini brand ain't going nowhere, then it's you see it as a great buying opportunity. And kind of same thing here with crypto, right? And not everything is a great buying opportunity. Bitcoin Cash is not a great buying opportunity. Not Litecoin. Ethereum Classic is not a great buying opportunity. So you're gonna have ones where you just completely miss on. You gotta brush it to the side. And Bitcoin 91 too. Let's take a look. We're seeing any signs of reversal in Bitcoin. Let's take a look. Let's go out to the 30-minute. Just bruised and battered. That is what Bitcoin's price. That is what longs are feeling. So deviation on the Bollinger Bands on the 30-minute. Obviously, you're going to see that on the 1 minute or on the 1 hour, right? You'll see larger deviations, right, nominal value-wise. So this one is got about a $500 discrepancy, right, between our lower Bollinger Band and our upper one. And we're still sitting at oversold on the RSI. And so you'll see an even bigger gap on the 4 hour. And the important one here is the daily. You're seeing a $1,500 gap for BTC as far as where we are price-wise and getting back in to the Bollinger Bands, which is, again, a super, super simple trade setup. Okay, so obviously on the close, we lost that 92 level. And let me throw that back on here. Obviously, on the close, we lost it. Okay, now what does that mean? That means on the way back, this should be resistance. Okay, on the way back, now how much farther down could we go? Could we go down to, here, let's just throw another one in here. here, 87,257. Why is this level important? Well, I mean, if you zoom out, right, obviously we haven't, you can't go back, you know, a year and a half, 2 years and take a look, well, what has price done? Because it hasn't gone there, right? Has never gone up there. And so one thing you can do is you can just look at, okay, where did the price consolidate at what level? Price consolidated, traded around this level, that 87K level, really from when we broke out on the 11th of November until we finally broke, I mean, you can even argue a trip down here on a wick almost. So November 17th. So you're talking about an entire week of price trading around the area of 87.2. Okay. Or you can go down to the lower time frames, right? You could take a look at, okay, well, where is 87.2, right? How many, because you get more candles, you get more data. You can take a look. Okay, so we got more data. All right, perfect. So price, this has been a very strong support level for BTC. And so that would be my next area of support for Bitcoin. Now, again, to keep things simple, you want to make money on these moves. I don't think, so for me personally, and you know, this, for some people, it might not be the right strategy, but I don't think putting in a short position here, there's more of a chance of you getting wrecked opening a short position at 91.1 than it is for you to wait to 87.257 and to enter into a long position. It's just a simple matter of the fact. You don't know when this thing is going to stop. You don't know now. Could news come out and we find out an exchange got hacked or I don't know. And then the price goes down more? Sure. But with the information we have now, and you take a look at what the market is doing, and again, to my friend in the chat who said that's how you look at your news, you just take a look at X, any breaking news, anything break, okay? 150 billion liquidated, no, nothing really. No big news of an exchange going down or withdrawals being halted or anything that could send Bitcoin lower rapidly, right? Outside of what you're seeing, which is price action. So you want to keep it super simple. You've been waiting for another entry to buy Bitcoin. 87,257 is your level. You're looking for a long position, maybe a 8X, a 12X long, depending on how the market is and the rest of the markets. And what are we looking at with funding rates? What are we looking at with the RSI? Is this thing flipped? You can enter into a long at 87,257. So these are key important levels. But again, as far as from a news standpoint, there's nothing that I am currently seeing that is taking the price of Bitcoin down outside of Japan, macro, tariffs. You got the president of France in the US now. Could something have leaked out of that big news or sit down with President Emmanuel Macron? I don't know. Let's see. RJ Loves Hockey said, just face it. You all got it wrong. We've been in the bear market since Trump got into office. I kind of answered that question. But hey, man, everyone's got their own opinion. If you think we're in a bear market, then act accordingly. Hopefully you took profits. I don't know. I don't think we're in a bear market. Trump is tanking the market. The dude is just chaos. Hey, man, you come in, you try to make the government more efficient. You're cutting funding here. You're finding fraud, and you know, someone said this, and I think it was I forgot the name, but they brought up a point that Bitcoin has always been the allure of a hedge against the government, right? And anytime the government would mess up, like the bank, you know, when that one bank in San Francisco, what was the name of that bank that caused the USDC to essentially depeg? Silicon Valley Bank. When they went under, Bitcoin rallied, right? And this whole government fuckery of they're spending money on this and that, people are like, you know what, we're sick of it, the Bitcoin. Well, what if the government gets their act together and then people get more faith in the government and maybe they don't see a need for Bitcoin? That has been an idea or a narrative floated around. Thank you, NSVB. I don't buy into that narrative, but I'm always open to other people's narratives and other people's kind of outlooks. And so could that be potentially? Daniel said, macroeconomics aren't great. It must be said. Germany's looking too healthy. I agree, man. I think a lot of this has to do with macro. We cannot sit here and say, Wall Street is here, all this money they have, and oh my God, it's going to be great, without also taking the downside. Wall Street is very jittery. They like to front run markets. If they believe that because CPI print came in Japan, came in hot, and they believe and can forecast that the Bank of Japan is going to hike rates, then they start saying, okay, they're going to hike rates. Well, what happened last time? Oh my God, the market's tanked, so we need to go risk off. And if you take a look at their portfolios, they got stocks that pay them dividends. They got stocks that they've held on for a while. They got stocks of companies that they really believe in. And then they got this ETF position that they just entered 6 months ago. And they're not really sold on the idea of Bitcoin and the promise of what Bitcoin can do. And to them, it's, well, shit, sell it, right? Risk off. What's the first thing to go? Is the newest position you have, or the position you know least about, or the company or project that you are sold the least on, done the least amount of research on. And that's the simple matter of the fact is when they go risk off, that includes the Bitcoin ETFs. And so that trickles down. They start selling. We see Bitcoin's price go down. People get liquidated on longs. And it's just like, right? As Bustad said, dumpster fire. It's all speculation and make-believe. A1, I don't know what you're referring to. The Macron issue was Trump said he'd go for more tariffs, then the market tanked. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I think just the macro retail is completely broke. People are getting laid off in the public sector. And so I just think it's a slew of different things. When you have news that should pump the markets, doesn't pump the markets, something is wrong with the sentiment, something is wrong with macro. And so, yeah, Christopher said, SEC acknowledges Grayscale's Cardano ETF. Yeah, you know, what that essentially means is they said, all right, yeah, we got your filing. Now the 240-day clock starts. They got 240 days. If they delay, at the 240th day, they would have to either deny or approve the Cardano Spot ETF, which I don't think there's any reason to not approve it, especially after the hard fork. All right, guys, I think that'll do it for the show today. Bitcoin is currently, just one final look at BTC. It's currently at $91,800 for BTC. We're seeing any bullish indicators here flashing? Nope. Well, we're at a discount zone. That's a positive. At least the weekly is still green, right? And RSI is still currently in the red. So I mean, we did get all the way down to 14. We're at 22. So it looks like we're kind of on the up and up. We're seeing anything on the MACD that can tell us that potentially a reversal is coming. Not really on the, at least on the 1 hour. Let's go look at the 30-minute. 30-minute, a potential reversal candle here. If this thing closes closer to 91.7, or excuse me, no, this is, never mind. So this could potentially be a reversal candle, right? Not necessarily a hammer candle, but you got green, lots of volume. You got the RSI about to enter into non-oversold territory, but nothing on the MACD. Actually, the MACD is losing a little bit of steam, at least on the 30-minute. Go out to the, let's go between 30-minute and 1 hour, which is going to be your 45-minute. So this could be a reversal. So 90,800, that wick, 90,900 could have been the bottom for this big move here for BTC. Again, anything can happen. And so always be careful when you're trading, and always be careful when you're trying to catch that falling knife, as I have done many times before. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You just got to be prepared for the scenario that it doesn't. And every single time frame, right, for that mean reversion trade we talked about has been price is trading outside of the lower Bollinger Band, and which again is a great opportunity to try to do that mean reversion trade. If we go out to the 2 hour for BTC, I mean, yeah, depending on where this candle closes in the next hour and a half, could be seeing a reversal for Bitcoin. Get back into those Bollinger Bands. Maybe get to that moving average of 95K. Maybe just get back to the lower band, which is right at 92.5. And so not too far off, about $600 off. But at the end of the day, ugly spill off for Bitcoin. You can see here on multiple time frames, we saw large liquidations, including on the 4 hour, where Bitcoin price tanked 2.5%. All right. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the content. My one last piece of advice for you would be, don't panic. Don't freak out. Everything's going to be okay. As my friend Redman said, Bitcoin is always dumpiest before it's the pumpiest. Welcome to crypto. Volatility lives on chain. It's a feature, not a bug, especially if you're able to have proper risk management, not get overzealous, not get greedy, and not get too fearful. Play the middle emotionally, my friends, and you'll make a lot of money. Thank you guys so much. I love you all, and I will see you next time. Peace.